The galactic archives floated in the void between stars, a crystalline structure housing 10,000 years of collected knowledge from 600 civilized species. Aliana adjusted her neural interface as she stepped into the translation chamber, her scales shimmering under the sterile white lights. As a Valorian linguist, she had decoded 17 extinct languages in her career. The glyphs projected before her now, however, defied every pattern recognition algorithm in her vast mental library. "This is impossible," she muttered, her three-fingered hand tracing the air where holographic symbols hung suspended. The syntax shifts mid-sentence. The grammar contradicts itself within the same word. Behind her, the chamber door hissed open. Aliana didn't turn around, too absorbed in her frustration to acknowledge the newcomer. "You must be the human they assigned to assist me," she said, her voice carrying a note of dismissal. The Galactic Council had been accepting humans into academic positions for only 3 cycles now. Barely enough time to prove themselves worthy of serious scholarship. "James Chen." "Ma'am," a young voice replied. "Fresh from Earth's linguistic division." Aliana finally glanced back. The human was unremarkable by his species standards, medium height, dark hair, wearing the standard gray jumpsuit of archive personnel. He carried nothing but a small satchel and what appeared to be an ancient writing instrument, a pen. She recalled they called it. "This script," Aliana gestured at the floating symbols, "comes from a dead world in Sector 447. The civilization collapsed 6,000 years ago, likely from internal conflict. We've been trying to decode their final transmission for 2 months. Every AI translation matrix has failed. Every linguistic expert has submitted theories, all contradictory." She fixed James with her amber eyes. "What could a human possibly contribute that we haven't already attempted?" James stepped closer to the holographic display, his head tilting as he studied the glyphs. His expression remained neutral, almost bored. "May I?" he asked, gesturing to the control panel. Aliana stepped aside with reluctance. The human manipulated the interface, rotating the symbols, expanding certain sections, overlaying different fragments. His fingers moved with surprising confidence for someone so new to archive technology. After 3 minutes of silence, he reached into his satchel and withdrew his pen. "What are you doing?" Aliana asked as James began writing on a physical notepad, an archaic practice that made her inner scholar cringe. "Making notes," James replied simply. He wrote several lines, crossed them out, wrote more. His pen moved in swift, confident strokes. "Your problem is that you're treating this as a single language." "Of course it's a single language. It's from one civilization, one time period, one final transmission," James interrupted, still writing. "During a collapse. Tell me, when your species faces extinction, do you speak formally or emotionally?" Aliana's scales rippled, a Valorian sign of discomfort. "Emotionally, I suppose. And when emotions run high, do you always follow proper grammar? Do you never mix registers, never blend formal and informal, never let different dialects bleed together?" The linguist fell silent. James continued, "This isn't one language. It's dozens, maybe hundreds of voices all screaming at once. Different regions, different social classes, different generations, all trying to send one last message to whoever might find it." He looked up from his notepad. "Your AI failed because it was looking for patterns. But panic doesn't follow patterns." He approached the holographic display again, this time pulling up a secondary interface. "I'll need access to any archaeological data you have on their social structure. Class systems, regional governments, religious sects, everything." For the next 6 hours, Aliana watched in growing amazement as the human worked. James didn't try to decode the entire message at once. Instead, he isolated individual phrases, identifying them as belonging to different social groups based on vocabulary choices. A farming metaphor here indicated rural origin. An administrative term there suggested government officials. Religious symbolism marked priesthood involvement. "It's like a choir," Aliana breathed as the pattern emerged, each voice singing a different part. "Exactly." James smiled for the first time, a peculiar human expression that Aliana found oddly compelling. "And once you know who's singing, you can understand what they're singing about." The message slowly crystallized. It wasn't a unified warning or a final proclamation. It was a symphony of grief. Farmers lamenting poisoned fields, leaders admitting their failures, priests questioning their gods, children asking why the sky burned. As the final phrases fell into place, Aliana felt her chest tighten, an emotion she hadn't expected. The message was heartbreaking in its honesty, beautiful in its collective desperation. Remarkable, she whispered. In 2 months, no one came close to this. How did you— James capped his pen and tucked it back into his satchel. Humans have a lot of practice with chaos, he said quietly. Our history is full of collapsed civilizations, final messages, desperate transmissions. We understand what it sounds like when everything falls apart because we've lived it. Multiple times, Aliana studied the young human with new eyes. She had dismissed him as inexperienced, primitive, unworthy of serious academic collaboration. Yet he had accomplished what the galaxy's most advanced minds could not. The Council will want a full report, she said. You'll need to document your methodology. James pulled out his notepad, showing pages filled with handwritten notes, crossed-out theories, sketched diagrams. Already done, though. He paused, a slight grin crossing his face. I should probably type it up. The Council might have trouble reading my handwriting. Before you do, Aliana said, her tone formal but respectful, I have one question. Yes? She gestured at the now decoded message, its terrible beauty displayed in organized translation across the holographic field. When you write your report, will you render this in the original format, fragmented, chaotic, authentic, or will you improve it? Make it cleaner, more structured, easier to digest? James looked at the message for a long moment. The pen appeared in his hand again, though Aliana hadn't seen him draw it. Original, he said finally. Always original. The chaos is part of the truth. Clean it up and you lose what made them human. He paused. What made them real? Aliana's scales shimmered in what might have been a smile. I think, James Chen from Earth, that the archives are fortunate to have you. As they prepared to submit their findings, Aliana realized something profound. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their mathematics. It was their intimate familiarity with imperfection, their ability to find meaning in chaos, to hear individual voices in collective screams. The pen, she decided, was mightier than any algorithm.